Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the 216th session of the online Optom Learning Series, OOLS. And today's session is going to be taking us through an important aspect, I think, which is coming up very close to everybody's heart, which is using the digital technology into our practice. And our speaker for today is Rashmi Kanojiya. Rashmi is associated with Cooper Vision currently as a professional service manager in India. She has completed her post-graduation in optometry and is also an associate member of the International Association of Contact Lens Educators. She has been into clinical practice and fitted specialty contact lenses, along with the clinical side where she also likes and loves to see patients. She also does some education trainings at various optometry schools and colleges across India. And I think her passion about teaching young optometrists with what they can do in terms of helping patients is commendable. So she is going to take us through the journey of using the digital technology in contact lens practice. And welcome, Rashmi. Let me, just leave the screen time to you.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction, sir. Everyone, good evening, good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm really excited to take you all through this brief topic about digitalization in contact lens practice. And we have seen so much happening, so much buzz around the modernization, and so many things coming up in the industry. I really feel that we have so many things to experiment with, and that is why I'm here with this topic today. So we've seen so many leaders and so many great thinkers talk about digitalization and how to use modernization, the tools that we have in corporate structures, in businesses, in practices. And without that, we have seen so many businesses and ideas collapse who could not absorb or could not retain this digital transformation in their practices or in their day-to-day lifestyles or the various aspects of their jobs. And that is why we have seen so many aspects of our lives. Day-to-day utilizations was very different 10 years ago, and today when you see, so many aspects of your life is very, very dependent on digital platforms. Each and everything that you think of 10 years before, I'm very sure was on a very different picture, very different note. But today's time, everything that you think of, I've named a few examples on the screen. You can see these are the things that are very, very closely dependent on the digital platforms that we have in today's time. And so does our eye care industry, our vision care industry. Just a quick question before moving on to our actual topic of digitalization in contact lens practice. Generally, in your own practices, what are the sort of digital tools and platforms that you actually use? Can you quickly list out the ones that you actually do?
Yeah, Rashmi, thank you so much. I've launched the poll, and I think this is a multiple choice poll. If you have more than one use in terms of the digital technology you can use, choose one option or more than one, and you need to press submit. So the options are there. Do you use them in data and practice management type of software where you use them for ordering the lenses and things like that? Do you also use them for consumer relationship, automated testing units, augmented reality, and digital dispensing tools? This covers the entire spectrum. I think you took from A to Z, everything is there. So we just want to see where people are using it at this point in time, right?
Correct. And I think the ones we have started off good, and we have also got so many innovations in the very recent times. And I think it is also, we have seen so many talks about teleoptometry happening, teleconsultations, and not just in eye care, but the other industries as well. So I think it's on the very growing verge. It's only the matter of time we actually come across the right tools and right platforms, and it really would help us go to the next level in our practices.
People are using it. That's good. That's a very important message. But majority of them are probably using it in ordering, messaging their patients and reminders, and of course using automated fractions and things like that. Yeah.
Right, right. And if you see, the lowest response that we have got is actually for the dispensing tools, the digital dispensing tools. And that is why, not just for contact lenses, I've tried taking through a few options that you have generally for your practice. In the coming slides, I'll take you through that. So, like we saw in our day-to-day lifestyle, this is about our industry. What platforms, what tools, what options do we have in clinical aspects and non-clinical aspects? So you see, our Google business pages are as important as your practice, the board that you have in front of your practice. It's as important as that. There is ERP and CRM systems, softwares that we have for managing the whole inventory, ordering, and to keep the data management. Previously, it's not paperwork anymore. So everything is on these platforms. We have our review systems. We have WhatsApp business apps to keep in touch with our patients. We have digital transactions. But on the clinical part of it, you see there are few affordable and few a little expensive options that are in front of the digital modulation of the practice. And as you can see, uh, for dispensing, these are the 2 3 tools that we have, apart from the subjective and objective refraction and the other clinical assessments. For dispensing, these are the 2 tools that we have from a lot of spectacle manufacturing companies. You can go back and check what options and what price range does it lie into. But this really gives a very authentic touch to the patients, as everything is very precise and very updated in terms of a lot of newer tools that you have. Talk about dominancy, talk about actually measuring PD for near vision. So all these things are something which really makes a lot of difference when you want to go from good to best. So do go back and check out, because today's discussion would be about contact lenses, so I'll take you further. Having said that, all of you mentioned so many aspects of digitalization that you have used in your practices. How significant do you think this has been in your practice, or for patient retention, for patient compliance, or for loyalty generally?
Okay, I have launched this poll. I guess we do also have some students. So maybe if you are not in practice, maybe you can put your thoughts on, do you think, it will improve, or do you think there won't be any significant change, or there would be decrease in compliance, or probably you're not sure. All right. So majority of them here, I think, thinks that they are, or they would probably significantly improve the compliance and increase the retention and loyalty of their patients. So that's
That's a
there.
good
A
sign.
couple of them say they are unsure, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the matter of time, and as you get an exposure, for the ones who are not sure, maybe once you end up into the practice, you'll realize the difference that having such platforms and tools make a difference. And thank you so much for your responses. So based on this, the next point of discussion is, what scope of digitalization do we have in our contact lens practice? And for that, to continue with that, the question for you all is, do you actually use any digital tools in your CL practice till date? Have you had any exposure in terms of this? Have you been using anything?
Yeah, this probably we can get it on the chat if you have used anything,
Yeah,
or if you are aware of any digital tools. Maybe you can use the chat box to let us know if you are currently using any digital tools in your contact lens practice, or
okay. We are
if you
getting a
are
lot of
aware,
no's.
or maybe you're not aware.
We are getting a lot of no's, so it's a good sign.
Okay, so that means this is a timely session where we can learn
Right,
about those available tools, right?
right, right. Very correct.
Awesome,
I think
great.
the majority of them are either not aware or they don't have any such tools. So I think I will move ahead.
Yeah.
This is the flow and this is the structure of instances in a contact lens practice, wherein you can introduce, or there is a scope of introduction of a digital tool, out of which the green ones we have already seen in the past slides. The first is the data management and record keeping, the CRM and ERP softwares that we have, basically the software wherein we keep the medical records of our patients. That's already, we have spoken about it. For subjective and objective refraction, we already have so many tools over the years, so there is nothing new to talk about it. But the other ones marked in blue are the ones wherein we have a scope of breaking the conventional and traditional ways of dealing, or uh, doing the process with the patients, and introduce a little digital touch, and also involve patients in, make them proactive in terms of understanding, getting more attention from them. I think this plays a major role that way, the digital exposure for such patients. So the first that I'll be talking about is about the history taking and the medical records. So we conventionally have, a set of questions that we ask to our patients, and there's a list of things that we just strike off, and the patients also very monotonously tend to answer if they recollect correctly. A few things that we see are answered vaguely, wherein if we can just introduce a twist, it really grabs your patient's attention, gives you a actual valid data to proceed, and help you craft your solutions and whatever treatments that you plan to give eventually. So one such solution for your history taking could be this. Is anybody aware of this? This is actually option, an app in your phone settings, wherein you can actually go and check and monitor your digital exposure, digital time using of your primary secondary devices, which is your phone. In today's time, we obviously, there was a time wherein we used to ask our patients that do you use mobile phones, or how many hours do you use it. But in today's time, it is so obvious that our first question is, how many devices do you use? Is it just your phone or your laptop, or do you have an iPad as well? How many screens do you use in a day throughout? Right, this is the kind of question that we ask. And in such a time, when we ask what is normally your working hours, or how many hours do you spend on digital devices, we get a very vague answer, and most of the times it is either underestimated or overestimated. And this is one of the right tools that we can ask patients to perform on their phones, make them participate in this, and have them actually be aware of what is the actual usage. So you can, Android users can go into settings, click on the search bar, type digital well-being and parental controls, and it will take you to this third screen, which will show you the kind of usage that you have had for the present day. And as you can see, this I had taken at 10:30 in the morning, this screenshot, and it was already 2.5 hours. And then if you click at the center of this circle, you'll actually see the graph that will take you through your average usage throughout the week and throughout the month. And this is a very good tool wherein you can actually counsel your patients if you are looking forward for a specific specific lens or specific solution to be given to the patient for their digital exposure. This becomes very important, and thus it becomes a consultative selling and not just selling or not just dispensing, wherein you're trying to understand if your patient requires a particular solution, and then you proceed with the rest. So this is one of the very small aspects that we are going to discuss about. So moving on to the second thing, this is the major tool that I was going to talk to you about. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about Opti Expert. Please do drop a message on the chat box. I would love to know. But this is one digital practice tool launched by Cooper Vision, which is a mix of a lot of aspects, lot of features that we'll be discussing in detail. And the whole agenda is to increase your precision, accuracy, and decrease your chair time. The whole idea of this app is that. Now, quickly moving on to the other aspects of digitalization where you can introduce in your practice, we will move on to the fourth point, which was slit lamp assessment and pictorial or textual documentation of eye health. So whatever assessments we do, we tend to note it down in our case papers or in our ERP systems. But a lot of times we have seen, especially with corneal conditions, we have seen that we tend to use colorful pens and crayons to actually depict what is the condition, and if in the follow-ups it is progressing or regressing, right? This is familiar with you all, I hope. This is CCLRU Efron's grading system. This has 16 complications in different grades, and this is used to keep a track of your patient's improvements or deteriorations. This you will classically find in every contact lens practice, every contact lens clinic, but very rarely we actually use it because our slit lamp and our viewing is at a very different corner of the clinic. This chart is placed at a very different corner of the clinic. Now, how do you actually go and check and relate the grading, right? So everything is happening based on the memory and based on our assumptions, and uh, manual errors could be on the higher side in this aspect. And that is why the first tool that I would like to mention about from OptiExpert app is Efron grading scales. Now, this is one of the segments wherein you can see different, the 16 complications that I mentioned about are actually listed out here with the gradings and the actual depiction above. And you can also see the signs and symptoms mentioned below. Not just that, you can actually click on this camera option that you can see, and you can take a live photo and you can or choose from library any existing photo from your photo library and real time compare what your patient's grading is. This really increases the precision that we have, and you can actually save this data, so the next time when your patient comes, you can actually go and compare what is the difference or improvement from the first sitting to the first follow-up. The second one is the lens selection and assessments. So this lens selection is a very underrated topic in the soft contact lens discussions. But I have a case with you all to discuss. And before that, I would firstly like to know, how do you usually do your contact lens power conversions? What mechanism or what platform do you usually prefer? Are you good with maths and do you just mentally do the conversions, or do you have a physical, conversion chart or a handout present in your clinics? Or do you rely on websites and apps which are present online? So we are getting responses, and most of them are about physical conversion charts.
Yeah, I think this, as you said, this power conversion is also quite underrated. People usually forget to do these vertex distance conversions and end up over prescribing and things like that, especially when it comes to astigmatism, I would say. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And plus, with the kind of multifocal and fits that we are seeing is
Yeah.
on is on the rise, and here you cannot really just rely on the general mental abilities of yours. And I actually have an example to check whether your mental conversions are on point, or do you really need to switch to an actual support platform or support tool for that.
So
All
I
right.
think half of them are using the conversion charts at this point in time. 50% is what I see. And we also have a couple of them who are good at maths, and few of them are using some websites or app. And one of them just popped up that they are using a website for CooperVision, from CooperVision, the CooperVision calculator.
Lovely.
Yeah.
After this, so you can clearly see that we have shifted to the digital platform in so many aspects in our practice, but with contact lenses it's still the traditional way, either mentally, if it's mentally and if it's precise, well and good, but still in a lot of ways we are stuck with the traditional ways of going back to the vertex conversion chart and using that, right? Now, just to cross check a lot of aspects here, just to prove why a digital solution will be easier and faster and more precise, I have an example for you all. So the right eye, you can see the prescription for a right eye and a left eye. And can you quickly help me out for the ones who are good with maths? Can you please quickly help me out and put the best conversion that you feel for this particular prescription on the chat box? Can you add on, please? Along with the conversion, I feel it's also the availability which is a very tricky part, because we know we are well versed with the conversions, and we can have the charts handy, and we can conclude what will be the contact lens prescription. But the availability also is something wherein you have to spend time and actually go and check, okay, if this prescription is available, well and good. If not, then what are the changes that we are supposed to do further? So this is the difference when it comes to converting a simple myopic astigmatism and a compound myopic astigmatism, or a mixed astigmatism. It really creates a lot of difference. So if you can see on the top, the calculated result is the very precise conversion of this prescription. So for the right eye, it's minus 2.90 with minus 1.82 at 165. And you can see the closest prescription that you can actually select for this patient is minus 3, 1.75, 160. On the other hand, for the left eye, you can see plus 3 with minus 2.25 at 170. So you see the cylinders were same, minus 2 with 165, but for the right eye, it has become minus 1.75, 160. And for the left eye, it has become 2.25, 170. These minor changes are something which we cannot put a lot of time and effort in, remembering and making sure we don't make any mistakes. And these are obviously clear. This obviously creates a clear chance of any sort of manual error to happen. And that is why such tools are important, to make your job easy, to make your job presentable, and to make your job precise. So this clearly you can see. So the Lars rule that we used to talk about, the similar logic applies to the power availability as well. So if you have a 165 axis, for your right eye, you always have to reduce, and for your left eye, you always have to increase. So this is the kind of relation that we have to apply here as well. Very minor things, but plays a very major role in selecting the right product for your patients, and again, obviously, in turn, leading to a good lens experience overall for the patients. And final idea is to reduce the dropouts, or reduce or improve or increase the lens wear experience with the patients, right? So this is one of the indications why I wanted to talk about the prescription calculator. And here is how it looks like. So it is very widely used for especially torics and multifocals. Of course, sphericals, we are all very good with mental maths. So for sphericals, it does not really matter. But for torics and multifocals, this prescription calculator saves a lot of chair time and gives a very precise solution in a very short time. And the best part is that this also provides you the availability options. Like I said, 165. Now, this is a Cooper product. That is why you see 160 and 170. But in a lot of products in the market, you don't see the non-core axis very widely available. And this is the reason why such platforms really help you understand if you are selecting a patient for contact lens use, this particular prescription will be available in his based on his requirements or not. And as you can see, it shows you a list of products which is actually suitable for the patient, and you can filter out if you want a daily disposable or a reusable contact lens. So this is about the prescription calculator. You also have an option of refining. So this is for a spherical or a toric correction. You can actually go back and refine if you have any overcorrections, over refractions to be done on the contact lenses. And this is a very, very important tool for your multifocal fittings that we have seen recently, because for a multifocal contact lens, it is not just a direct conversion of your spectacle prescription. Since it is your functional vision, it need not match your spectacle prescription as it is. It will vary from your spectacle prescription based on the lens design, based on the material, and based on the patient's requirements. That is why such tools are very, very important for multifocal dispensing. And hence, Cooper also has a special segment wherein you can perform all the over refractions that you've been doing on the patient. You can feed in the value. As you can see, it is mentioned distance or near vision. So if you have any particular over refraction for any particular distance, you can feed in the data and you will get the final best fit trial for this patient, or best fit order for this patient. So this is the beauty of this app, and you can actually save all these trials. You can see on the very right side, whatever final prescription that you select, you can actually save it in the patient's record, so that if you are doing multiple trials or multiple products, you still have that data saved with you every time you open for that patient's file. So this was about contact lens selection, and moving on to the third part, to the fourth part, which was counseling. So counseling again, I
Just to reinitiate, I think this app is available on all the platforms, right? Rashmi, it's available on the iOS as well as on the Android Play Store,
absolutely.
is it?
And
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. So it is present on the web version as well. It's present on the website. It's present on both Androids and Apple iOS platforms. And it keeps on updating. So you can actually, if you don't have this app yet, you can just go, and I have the QR at the end. So if you want, you can use that, or simply go and type Opti Expert on these platforms and you will get the redirection to the app.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Great.
How do you handle your patient counseling and education, or the training that you do for contact lenses presently? Do you use any sort of digital resource, or do you use the traditional methods of counseling in person, or you are not actively involved in any of this? So anything related to counseling or training the patients.
Okay. So I've launched the poll, and this is basically just to know how do you probably manage and perform patient counseling. Are you using any digital resources, or you rely on the traditional method where you talk to patients, maybe draw diagrams on the paper and explain to them a little bit? That's, I would say, as traditional. Or you're not in patient care, maybe you are in the industry where you don't really are not really involved in patient education. Okay, so I see majority of them are actually on the traditional mode. Almost again, just near about 50% of them are using the traditional method, but we do have
Right.
people using some digital technologies and resources to a little bit of extent as well. Yeah.
And here, of course, using the traditional ways are not bad at all, because we would obviously always want to train our or counsel our patients in person. But the second aspect of this is they will look at whatever you're teaching, they will remember of whatever you've told them in a very, for a very small instance, and then it is just going to wash off, or maybe they will forget a few things over the period of time. So the whole idea of mixing the digital and the traditional method is something that we are going to talk about. And for very starting uh, discussion of counseling is about correcting the selecting the right product for your patients. So when you select the right product for your patients, it is based on the lot of aspects. For example, when you're selecting a spectacle lens, you look at the patient's prescription and then you select the right index for the patient's lens. Then the second step is you look at the patient's frame selection. Then you decide what parameters of your lens dia and base curve would you choose. And lastly, based on the patient's lifestyle, what coatings and filters are you going to add on the lens? This is for spectacle lens selection. Similarly, for contact lens selection, there are various parameters that one should look at. And oxygen is the first and the very important parameter that one should be knowing and discussing about. Unfortunately, a lot of products what are still in the Indian market are very predominantly known and dispensed are not a very high decay material, and this is obviously the hydrogels that I'm talking about. And it's also because of the awareness, or because of the limited tools and ways that we have to counsel our patients to make them understand what is the importance of oxygen overall in their contact lens wearing experience. So the very first thing for us to discuss is this oxygen profile, and this becomes very important is because any company brochure, what dk by t is mentioned, if you see very closely, it is always mentioned that this is for a -3 diopter lens. And moreover, whatever that dk value is mentioned is usually in the center 3 to 4 value only. So any contact lens dk by t that you see which is mentioned is actually for central 3 to 4 for a -3 diopter lens, because it is widely, very common prescription. That is why that is the gold standard that the industry follows. But what about for patients who are very, on the very higher side of prescription, let's say for a +6 or a -6 diopter, -9 diopter lens? For such patients, obviously, when you say dk by t, the t is the thickness factor, and as the thickness changes, the oxygen transmissibility of a lens will also change. But then how, as an ECP, are we supposed to guess that if my patient is in this power range, his lens will have this oxygen supply, right? We cannot just rely on that one value which is given on the company brochures. That is why we have this oxygen map comparison. Oxygen map is basically a comparison of dk by t from one edge to other edge of the lens. So it's a complete topographical view of how the oxygen supply would look like from a particular power range. And if you can see on the screen, you will realize I have played a video. So you can see we are now entering the oxygen profile segment. We will select spherical design, and let's take -3 as a standard. And you can see edge to edge oxygen mapping of all the available, some of the available lenses are mentioned here. And if you go and see +6, these values change because central thickness increases, peripheral thickness is not that great. And if you click on the oxygen map, it will actually enlarge and it will show you the values from the lowest dk to the highest dk. So anything which is cool, anything which is from green, blue, purple is okay. Value wise, if I have to tell you, by Howard and Bonanno criteria, anything which has 35 dk by t is a good material to dispense. And this is for open eye condition. When we say open eye condition, means our patients are not allowed to sleep with the lenses. So if the patients are not allowed to sleep with the lenses, the ideal, the lower bracket is 35. Your patients should use a contact lens which is at least 35 dk, which 99% of the hydrogels will not be able to cater. And that is why silicone hydrogels are something which in the market, which we talk about so much in the market. The second value, so mapping and why this is important, and this becomes even more important when you go towards torics or multifocals, because all these are very different in design. Special changes, the dk values will be compromised and it will go down even more. So this is the reason why such tools are important and very handy to counsel your patients to get it to go into a healthier option. And this helps you in convincing your patients why. The second aspect is, again, in the for counseling, how you can use Opti Expert is all these prescription calculators leads you to a list of products. Now, when you click on the list of products, you can actually see the best recommended lens and the details of the lens below. You can see the details, the technology of the lens mentioned below, and you can use this to counsel your patients. So not like traditionally just handing out a brochure or maybe a pen and paper and just writing it down. This is a very niche way of counseling your patients with present commercial tools which are present globally, and making them understand and making them realize that whatever recommendation you are making is based on global standards and so many moderated tools that are available in the market. So this is how Opti Expert can actually help you in counseling the patients, not just product wise, but also health wise. If you want to upgrade the modality or material of a patient that is using, you can actually use this platform. So this was about counseling, but before moving on, I would just again would like to shoot a question to you: that do you believe that there will be an increase in efficiency and patient satisfaction by implementing such digital tools in your contact lens practice? Do you think this will give a difference in experience, or your practice might stand out, the patient might have a long lasting impression of the out of the way experience that you have given to the patient? and something which is not, he might not have seen a lot in the market happening, in the practice, different practices happening.
Okay, so getting some responses. What's your thought? Will it improve? Will it not have any impact? Will it decrease, or probably are unsure? Because we have discussed, I think Rashmi has discussed couple of tools in different segments. I think that's very important, where you have built up the talk in different segments in terms of using it for calculations, using it for ocular health examination and monitoring it as well, and also brand knowledge plus patient education. So, do you think that will have an impact on patient satisfaction as well? Okay, so I think majority of them are saying yes, equally between a significant and a moderate increase, and that's what people are thinking at this point in time.
So let's conclude that 95% of you think that this will really make, difference in the kind of experience that your patients get through a practice. Obviously, we are all doing our best jobs in whatever available environment and, ambience that we can get for our practices. But such tools will help you, like I said, go from good or better to best. So this is, I'm happy to know that so many of you actually believe that such tools will help you, and I'm glad that we could get such platform for you all. Lastly, so this was about Opti Expert. In total, you get a prescription calculator, you get an oxygen profile comparison, you get Efron grading scales, and you can actually save all this data in your patient's profile. So this was about Opti Expert, but on the overall digitalization discussion, there are last 2 points that I would want to discuss is about training and education about lens wear care and maintenance that we usually do post dispensing, and the follow up touch points that we have. So if you can see, these are the few examples. This is by Cooper, but you will get a lot of materials which are present in the market. You yourself can create your own materials if you have your own practice, you have your own page, website, social media accounts. You can as very well create your own, materials for education and marketing, and you can use this as touch points to your patients, because the beauty of contact lens practice is that a usual spectacle user might come to you once in 365, or the usual tat time that we say is about 500 days. So in 1.5 years he might come in contact with you, but with a contact lens user he might very frequently come in contact with you as soon as maybe 6 months or 3 months, depending upon his supply. But it is also very important to keep uh, your presence in his mind in some way or the other, and keep him reminding of things to not forget, things to still keep doing, even if you are not physically seeing each other for maybe 6 months or in a year, if everything is going fine. And such tools are something that you can it's ready made, it's available on platforms. You can very well use this in circulating for your existing patients. You can, like I said, very well create your own materials. That will be the best. But if you anywhere are stuck and you need something, you can actually go and check websites, YouTube channels, and Instagram or Facebook accounts, and you will find a lot of material that can actually help you in educating your patients or giving reminders for any best practices that you want to. So this was the last part about the discussion and digitalization in contact lens practice. And the takeaways: please download Opti Expert app and start using. Please do give us your feedbacks, if any, and this will really help you improve your practice and reduce your chair time. That's the most important thing in today's time, I think. With the limited amount of time that we have, dispensing a contact lens is still a task wherein we invest a lot of time, and such tools will really help us reduce any sort of scope that we have to not waste time and effectively use our time for CL dispensing. And you can see there are a lot of studies done and a lot of reviews done on such platforms, such apps. The ones that I've posted are for Opti Expert, and it is proven to be a lot of help. And it's been used by close to 55,000 experts in 80 different countries with 15 different languages. So you can see the kind of importance and the kind of requirement this had in our practices, and we have it now. So please make full use of it. It's very simple to use, and it's it'll ultimately save your chair time. But not just this, all the other tools that we discussed about, try modifying the traditional ways that you've been doing and dealing with the patients, and instead of think about whatever options and exposures that you have. If you could use something, I'm pretty sure the very first digital tool that I showed you about, the digital exposure, everybody would be knowing about it. Most of you must be knowing about it, but we never thought of using it in our practice. So such innovative experiments and involving your patients actively will really help in getting that attention which is required for an active hearing and active counseling. And even patients, even in today's time, even if we talk about us, we always prefer a doctor who actually explains us our reports, tells us what he's giving and why he's giving, and then ultimately gives us the prescription, right? So why not implement the same psychology in our practices and give our patients the next a best experience. So this is today's for today's discussion. You can see the QR code. If you have not yet downloaded the app, you can take this, and this is the website, and it is available on both Play Store and iOS. So we wind up here, but I am still here. So if you have any queries, please shoot questions. I believe we have got one question in the chat box which mentions that why the right eye has access of 160 and why the left eye has access of 170. And it is from the same belief and same belonging wherein we discussed about the Lars rule. So are you aware of Lars rule, wherein if your patients have any sort of misorientation in a toric lens, we apply a Lars rule as a compensation to adjust it for your final prescription. It arises from the same concept, and that is why, although a 5-degree rotation is not a very major thing, but with the higher cylinders, it becomes really tricky to, and it might lead to a visual distortion for a very high cylinder. And that is the reason why we apply this rule of right eye reducing and left eye increasing.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Rashmi, for that wonderful talk, and making us aware of the options which are available for the betterment of the use of clinicians. And as you said at the end, I think this will make patient care more time saving, I would say. So you're saving a lot of chair time, and not only that, but giving the updated information to your patients as well. So that's really important when it comes, because patients are reading and coming to you, that's for sure. So you need to be updated as well, right? So thank you so much for sharing that with us today.
Thank you so much, sir.
I think you did cover this first question where we talked about, looking at the axis. So the Lars rule, or LARS rule, is left, add, right, subtract. So I think that's why we kind of put 5 degrees added to the left eye and 5 degrees subtracted to the right side. So that's why 165 axis. For right eye, it becomes 160, and left eye, it becomes 170 as the starting point, right?
Correct.
Okay. And I think one more question which kind of came in through, probably I'm seeing a direct message here, is, yeah, I think this is also the same regarding the toric prescription, where you did mention that once you key in the toric prescription, it gives us the recommended lens availability. So somebody wants to know, is it region specific or is it global? Because sometimes some products are not available in some countries. So is that a region specific recommendation or it's a global recommendation?
So, if you remember, or if I can share the screen again, I will take you through. Both these things are actually covered in this app. The very first thing that is shown in the calculator is the actual prescription, the clinical conversion. If you see, this calculated result is something which is for us to decide. It is left on us. So, for example, if you don't want to go with Cooper portfolio, but something else, you can actually stick to the topmost prescription, which is the actual precise scientific conversion. When you come to the lower segment of the recommended products, this will differ from region to region. Like, for example, a lot of some of you are not based in India, I see. So for you all, it might appear to be Biofinity. So Aspire Pro, the global brand name is Biofinity. So you might have Biofinity as shown on your screen. For Aspire Air, it will be Avira Vitality. But yes, it also depends. For a very few products, the availability might be different. Like, the access that might be covered might be more in some regions and might be less in some regions. But in if you have downloaded in India and if you have registered from your Indian network, you will be shown the products which are available in India only. You will not be shown any global recommendation, and vice versa. So whatever region from where you are downloading this app, you will get to see the recommendations of those regions and the availability in that region only.
Yeah, I understand why this question comes, because I think the person asking is from Malaysia, and we don't have Aspire Pro as a product launch in Malaysia. It's an Indian version. So probably that's why people were like,
Okay, right.
yeah, I've not seen that product, but then it's available on the app. So yeah, thanks for clarifying. It's more of a region specific product. Yeah.
Right. So but you will see the whatever recommendations you will see, that will be available in your regions. If I did the calculation using Opti Expert but prescribed a different brand close to it, has any effect on power? So again, circling you back to the same slide that I showed you, if you are going with any other brand, please stick to the actual conversion that came on the top, which is the precise conversion that you've got after the calculation. Whatever comes in the recommendation is only based on CooperVision's availability. So for any spherical and toric, you can very well use our app and you can stick to that top calculator, the actual calculation. But for multifocals, I will recommend you, if you are using our multifocal, then use our app. Otherwise, whatever other product that you plan to use, please get in touch with the company person, because there is a difference in design, and based on the difference in design for a multifocal, there are a lot of changes that might arise in the actual fitting process. Like, if I have to give you an example, a lot of products might be bifocal or might be trifocal, but for one of the multifocal contact lens present in India by Cooper, has 4 zones. And based on these 4 zones, two of them are for intermediate and one is for near. So this causes a lot of difference in the kind of edition or the ad that you'll be giving. So there are 3 options, right? Low, mid, and high. So based on these criteria and the design of your lens, your high or low or mid ad category will differ. So please feel free to use it for your single vision users, but for your multifocal users, only if you are using any Cooper product, then only use Opti Expert for the calculation.
Yeah, right. And I think the difference in design is something which you need to be cautious about in terms of using the calculated power, because the fitting guides for every multifocal is kind of different based on the ad range, based on the power jump available, based on the design. You have a center distance, center near design, and things like that. So that's something which needs to be taken into consideration as well. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Please, feel free to put up on the chat. Let's see. Yeah, the other question I think I'm just seeing about the app is, you did mention that patient's information is also possible to store on the app. So do we have to kind of register for a special account, or is it by default saving it for us?
So it's no, you don't have to, register, but you will have to create a profile. And that simply requires your patient's name, your patient's age, gender, and if you want to add on a specific registration number from your ERP system, or if you have any special registration number for your patients, you can simply put that in the data for to create a file. So it will be as good as creating a file. You don't have to do a lot of process, or you don't, it's absolute, it's a free platform. So you can create as many profiles of the patients as you want, but a very few details would be required for you to identify between the files. So yeah.
Awesome, great. So I think that covers the question. I think with that, we have taken all questions on the chat. So I think I would like to thank you, Rashmi, for that wonderful talk and making us aware that this exists. And uh, I'm using Opti Expert for quite some time, and it's really beneficial in terms of making decisions of what lens do I want to fit. So I've not really explored on the Efron, to be honest, but I have started doing that. But most of the time I've used it for calculating the powers and getting the brand and selecting my lens basically at the first point. But knowing about Efron scale a couple of months back is also, I'm trying to incorporate it. So it's a very important thing. And also I will start using the patient education mode, which I have not started to use. So thank you so much for sharing that with us today, Rashmi.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir, and thank you all for your patience and attention. And I hope this was helpful for you all for your practice and implementations to come. So thank you. Thank you so much, and have a great day ahead.
Sure. So we do have a session planned over the next couple of weeks. Until then, take care, be safe, and I hope to see you during the next session. Take care and bye bye.